Hello there. Michel Barnier and David Frost have emerged from the latest round of Brexit talks to report that little more progress has been made. So where now? Firstly, please subscribe and like this video to give my channel a boost. And I'm always uploading new content, so please do check back daily. And a big thanks to my Patreon and PayPal supporters. Now that the 9th round of Brexit negotiations in Brussels has come to an end, I'll let you guess what the outcome was. That's right, the usual sticking points: state aid rules, a level playing field, and fisheries, of course. So the question is, where do we go now? Well, at least we know that the PM Boris Johnson is already in the diary for a video conference with the EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen tomorrow, with the idea of taking stock and discussing the next steps. In my view, the next steps should be long, fast ones through the no-deal Brexit door, but that's just me. Anyway, once the talks ended, Michel Barnier said in a statement, "Across the 11 negotiating tables, with discussions held in a constructive and respectful atmosphere, we noted points of convergence, most of which had already been recorded in previous rounds, in particular on some aspects of trade in goods, services and investment, civil nuclear cooperation and participation in union programmes. Positive new developments on some topics such as aviation safety, social security coordination, and the respect of fundamental rights and individual freedoms, which are a precondition for our future police and judicial cooperation in criminal matters. A lack of progress on some important topics, like the protection of personal data, climate change commitments, or carbon pricing, as well as persistent, serious divergences on matters of major importance for the European Union." I just love that EU self-important phrase of matters of major importance to the European Union, don't you? As if that matters to us at all. Anyway, Barnier went on to say that we recall once again that any agreement on an economic partnership with the United Kingdom requires 1. Solid long-term guarantees of open and fair competition. Our new economic partnership must be underpinned by clear rules. These rules must be operational and credible. That requires effective enforcement mechanisms, in particular on state aid, and a commitment towards non-regression from social, fiscal, environmental and climate standards. This is possible while fully respecting the regulatory autonomy and sovereignty of both parties. What that really means is that the EU wants an ironclad process for clipping UK wings when we get too successful. Brussels wants the UK to be as stultified as the European Union is. And ideally, Brussels wants that to include our being required to follow their rules as they change them as well. And a question: how can a governance system involving the European Union not require ECJ oversight? It's in their DNA. They will always claim that only the ECJ can decide EU law. Barnier's second gripe was that we won't agree to an efficient governance framework based on a comprehensive agreement with robust enforcement and dispute settlement mechanisms, as well as effective remedies. This is naturally even more important following the UK government's introduction of the Internal Market Bill, which breaches its obligations under the Withdrawal Agreement and the Protocol on Ireland, Northern Ireland. Right, at this stage, are we not now in cloud cuckoo land on this? How long would it take to put such a beast together? Just consider the statement: an efficient governance framework based on a comprehensive agreement with robust enforcement and dispute settlement mechanisms, as well as effective remedies. And I bet it would look just like an EU treaty. The Lisbon Treaty, maybe. And the third of his gripes. 3. A stable, sustainable and long-term agreement on fisheries, enabling the United Kingdom to further develop its fishing opportunities while ensuring the sustainable use of resources and protecting the activities of European fishermen and women. The UK is a sovereign nation and will decide how it manages its own fish stocks after the 31st of December, unless Boris really is caving in on that one. And what responsibility do we have for protecting the activities of the European fishing community? No one's cared about ours over the last 4 decades. In fact, the destruction of our coastal communities went largely ignored while the rest of the EU looked after its own. But all this was entirely predictable. Anyway, Barnier ends with, "To reach an agreement, these divergences must necessarily be overcome over the next weeks. We will continue to maintain a calm and respectful attitude, and we will remain united and determined until the end of these negotiations." Divergences. There was never ever any convergence in the first place. It's always been poles apart on these 3 main issues. Anyway, on the UK side, Lord David Frost said in his statement, "These were constructive discussions conducted in a good spirit. In many areas of our talks, although differences remain, the outlines of an agreement are visible. This is true of most of the core areas of a trade and economic agreement, notably trade in goods and services, transport, energy, social security and participation in EU programmes. This has, however, been true for some time. I am also encouraged that progress has been possible on a law enforcement agreement and that there has been convergence on the structure of the overall partnership. So the low-hanging fruit has been quickly identified and some further up the tree has been marked for harvesting, but it's still the same old story. The EU wants too much overall control over the post-Brexit UK, as David Frost points out in his final paragraphs. In other areas, familiar differences remain. On the level playing field, including subsidy policy, we continue to seek an agreement that ensures our ability to set our own laws in the UK without constraints that go beyond those appropriate to a free trade agreement. There has been some limited progress here, but the EU need to move further before an understanding can be reached. On fisheries, the gap between us is unfortunately very large, and without further realism and flexibility from the EU, risks being impossible to bridge. These issues are fundamental to our future status as an independent country. And remember, there was talk of the UK handing over our fisheries for another 3 years. But the European Union wants permanent and assured access to our waters, something that would make rebuilding our own fishing industry all but impossible. I am concerned that there is very little time now to resolve these issues ahead of the European Council on the 15th of October. For our part, we continue to be fully committed to working hard to find solutions, if they are there to be found, he concluded. Now remember that Boris has set a UK deadline for mid-October, or the UK has to forge ahead with a no-deal Brexit, an outcome that would give the cleanest break and the blankest of sheets on which to build a new trade relationship with the EU. But I'm not sure we're quite at that stage yet, as there is talk of a 10th round of talks in London before the EU Council meeting on the 15th of October. So I'm expecting a bit more brinkmanship before one side has to pull the plug on the whole negotiating process. Or cave in. Anyway, if you want to hear more from me, please don't forget to subscribe and also press that little bell, or you won't get any notifications. And if you want to see more of me, buy a mug with my mug on it by following the link in the descriptions box below, and support me on Patreon or PayPal. So what do you think about this round of talks? Please share and comment, and thank you for watching.